Hi everybody,
Hello.
episode 243, 42, my
Yeah.
weight class anyway.
We're
Something
sitting
like
on
that.
opposite sides because I am abused last week.
She
Julian, I
she went to the
didn't.
dentist, that's what she means by that.
Julian hit me. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, so she went to the dentist, came back with a jaw, because she took her wisdom teeth out.
Yeah.
And so her jaw was all inflamed. I was like, you're not allowed out of the house. Otherwise, they're all going to think I hit you in the face. Like, outside of the bruising, it looked exactly like that.
I
So,
didn't know
yeah.
it was that invasive. Like a week
Yeah.
later, they're still swelling and it's completely yellow and everything. So I have my hair in front of my face on one side,
And then she's facing this
this
way,
way
basically. There we
because
go.
this is my good
It's
side.
called being
now.
smart. Anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So today I wanted to talk. So I put my template out there. So we have one template for Janina and my training, which is like right now because of our season, you'll see a lot of Janina doing what I do. I just don't do conditioning. I mean, I do the Strongfit workout. I just don't do the running. I don't do the 20-minute CrossFit workout. I don't do any of that shit because cardio is bad for you. I've said it before. I'm still saying it now. Less running, more lats. That was a cool t-shirt we need to do again.
Did you make a t-shirt out of that?
Yeah, more lats, less running, which I agree fully. That's old school. Anyway,
I don't agree with that.
there you go.
But
Your dog just peed on my sandbag.
did he?
Yeah. Anyway, so this is my life. The dog just peed on my sandbag. Like, anyway, like 21 over there is going to be in trouble soon, I can tell you that. Anyway.
Oh, poor.
So,
He has an issue with that.
let's talk about what I wanted to talk about. I thought talking about, I'll explain a bit the way I look at the template, but really what I want the podcast to be about is how to make programming successful. Honestly, most programming is kind of the same.
Mm-hmm.
You see a difference between linear and conjugate.
Yeah.
Things like that, to a degree, like specificity versus overall strength. And of course, this is important in your success, but not nearly, I think, as I think you think it is. Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
I think there are things that first we have to establish on how to make programming successful. That is not if it's linear versus conjugate.
Well, and it's kind of a good progression of last week's podcast where we talked about what does success look like, because that's going to be the first question of any programming, and then from there.
Yeah, what does success look like? So, for example, if we talk before we talk programming specifically, like deadlift or whatever, let's talk overall. Like, what are the key things I'm going to look at when I look at programming? Let's say a client sends me the programming they're doing at the moment. What am I looking at? The first thing is the same thing as for the protocol, is training ingested is not training digested. So basically training has to be based on what you can recover from.
Yeah.
And we're going to go into that, but a lot of the issues we see with some of our clients is that people say, I should be able to do this.
Yeah.
And no, you shouldn't. Like it's already starting the conversation incorrectly.
Any question like I could, I would, I should, is like, okay, but that means that none of that is what you're actually doing or where you're at right now. Right?
The problem is I should be able to train like this. I'm like, said who? Say that person on
What does that
Instagram.
even mean, by the way?
Say that person on YouTube, based on what time do they have to put on training? And plus, it doesn't matter. You're not that person, right? So
what does that even mean? Even
so, like, I'll explain using my template, so myself as an example, so you see a little bit where I'm at. So, I have heavy versus volume. That's how I like to train, which means 1 week I'll do a heavy deadlift, 1 week I'll do a volume deadlift, and every single lift is going to be like that. So, which means, for example, Monday is heavy deadlift, Tuesday is going to be volume press, then it'll be heavy squat. Then it'll be heavy because I did volume press. I'm gonna do heavy bench press that week, and because I did heavy deadlift, I'm gonna go volume squat.
Yeah.
Right, and then obviously next week we change all of that. That's 4 lifts per week with the assistance work required. That means that each week I'm gonna deload 1 lift. 1 week it'll be the deadlift, then the press, then the squat, then the overhead press. So that basically we're on a 4-week type of thing because, and I'll explain why. And so there are a few things like that. But for example, also I have Wednesday is my recovery day when I do light row pulls and everything, and I had the fifth day as the strongman stuff. Right now, for me, it's too much.
Yeah, so you train really 4 days a week, right?
I'm going to switch to 4 days a week. The active recovery might not count because depending on how I feel. But the fact is, like, I tried the 5 days. I did it last week very well, and I had 5 very good training days, and I am wasted this week.
Yeah.
So was that a great week of training? It was. I blasted everything, got PRs everywhere. It was awesome. I am blasted this week. Too much. Like I did the blood test yesterday, and I checked this morning, and my testosterone levels usually are around 660. Yesterday they were like 540 or something like that. So it's starting to go down. I think I'm just blasted from the heavy training is always hard on the body, so it's always going to tank your testosterone levels. But since I'm not on TRT or any of that stuff, I have to be careful. If I blast myself to the point that I can now recover, and for example, it's one of the many things that is affected by not recovering enough, my hormonal levels go down, then the quality of my workout obviously is going to go down, but also how good the workouts feel. So here goes motivation. So now you need more discipline, like you're tired overall. I know I'm tired is when I don't want to eat. So when I'm tired personally, I look at dinner and I just eat half of it, which is bad because obviously it's going to make me more tired since now I don't even have enough fuel. But I know myself enough to know that that's what happens to me whenever I'm tired, I don't eat. So stuff like that. So the key is, yes, I can have the weeks like I had last week. It was great. But then Saturday night I couldn't eat. Same thing. So now I'm tired this week. It's just bottom line is it's too much for me.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if I think I should be able to do 5 days a week. If I were doing 5 days a week 10 years ago, by the way, do I remember even that correctly? Because was I too tired by then?
That is also like a tricky thing. It's like I used to be able, because therefore journaling, journaling is a great thing to do.
Right, because I probably don't remember well 10 years ago. I'm probably remembering the 3 weeks where I was killing it, but I'm probably not remembering the 3 weeks where I wasn't, or stuff like that. Plus, it doesn't matter anyway. It's 10 years then. It's not 10 years later now.
Yeah.
I cannot do 5 days a week. So what I'm going to do instead is I was using the squat day really as a back day. Right, a hip day and back day. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my strongman on Thursday because I come off of recovery day, and on Friday I'll do some bench press, and then I'll put my back exercises then, and then I'll have to figure out. So I'm going to switch the training a little bit that way, and then the deload will happen on the strongman day. So the strongman day will replace my squat day.
So
in a way,
if I'm understanding it correctly, you always deload one lift every week, so you don't have to usually do a big deload unless you end up getting yourself into a hole where you are kind of forced into a deload.
And that's what we're trying to avoid.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to avoid is the moment where now you have to take 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
Because then that's not a deload.
Yeah.
So you have to understand, like 2 weeks is okay. After that, you start to be deconditioned, and it's gonna suddenly it takes you like a month to go back. You can take 1 week off, it's no problem. The second week is always starting to be an issue. The third week, you're deconditioned. So now you have to start all your cycles over.
Yeah.
So in a perfect world, if we deload 1 lift per week, so it's a 4-week loop, mesocycle, in a way that would allow us to have more good weeks of training per year.
Yeah.
Because you don't wait till you have to deload everything at once and just get blasted at our oblivion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but it's in the vacuum, right? It's not going to work like that because I'm still going to run into issues. By the way, that doesn't count for traveling and stuff like that. But the idea is, what I wanted to explain is the importance of knowing, like, all right, it doesn't matter if you think you should, how you think you should train. Doesn't matter. Right now, it's not food ingested, it's food digested. What can you do in a sustainable way that allows us to train week after week after week and keep making progress? Smaller progress, not like those blasting weeks like I had last week, because look at the point of last week. I'm tired this week. I'm supposed to deadlift today. I'm going to take 2 days off and deadlift tomorrow because I can tell I'm tired. I had a good training session yesterday, but then I'm tired today. So now I have to take 2 days off and I train tomorrow. So that means this week I'm going to train most likely 3 days. I'll try to make it to 4, but no matter what does that show you? I have to go to 4 days a week. So that's okay. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you a pussy. It's just like I know some strongmen that trains 2 days a week, believe it or not. Most of them is 3 to 4. Why? Because it taxes you. And you also have to understand, the more weight you put on the bar, the more you're taxing your recovery system.
Yeah.
So it's not enough to, like if you do exactly the same program and you add weight, then every time you add weight, you also add an extra weight onto your recovery system, which means you have to make your recovery better to match the intensity, to match the new weight. That means you have to sleep better, food has to be better, either correct amount or like you have to take off the sugar, anything that will limit your recovery. So if you keep your program the same and you get stronger, that means you're going to have to do the exact same amount of work on the recovery side. So maybe you start to need to do, jacuzzi or cryotherapy, whatever works, but you can't just take the same program and add weight. Not without paying the price on the recovery side.
No, I totally started to realize that as well when I started to train heavier and heavier. And at some point, it really happened to me as well. It's like, it's just not the same thing. It's just really not.
And by the way, we're not even talking soft tissue. We're just talking about how your nervous system takes it.
Just nervous system. Yeah, like even after the surgery and everything, I took a few days off and I feel like better physically, even though I was on a ton of medication.
Like 4 or 5 days off.
And I haven't eaten in basically normally in like a week, and I still feel better just because you don't have like the soft tissue is healing.
But the nervous system can recover. The problem is it takes always a little bit longer than you think it does. Because most people, like usually if you're an athlete, that means you want to put your head through a brick wall when it comes to training, and your coach is supposed to stop you. So that's why I never blame athlete for that mentality, because you need that mentality as an athlete. But the issue with that is most athletes are always like, I can do more, I should do more. And again, that's not the can you do more? Of course you can do more. You can always do more. That's not the question. The question is, can you recover from it? I know, and I know it's a hard thing to look at because I have the exact same issues. I love training, so I would much rather train 5 days a week blasting myself than 4, because it makes me feel better. But at some point, then that's when we get to what does success look like? What is the point of programming? Is it to make progress, or is it to make you happy about the fact that you're training? And there's the problem. That's the answer is progress.
Very, very, very good point.
Like, too many people. Sorry, go ahead. But
no, I think that's a great point. It's like, it is like either that it's the same thing as could, would, should. Like that is just to occupy your mind. It has nothing to do with actual training and making progress. Like doing that, what you're saying that you're doing and everything, taking the rest, that's based on performance. Because if you want to perform, you need to... I'm
not sure they're progress and performance, because performance gives the wrong... people true. Are like, oh yeah, but no, progress. In order to make progress, that's what is needed. That's all. So what we see with people, and I've made the same mistake myself, by the way, so it's not you, it's just me too, it's anybody who likes to train hard. It's always the same problem. Is like, no, it's the programming is not there to make you feel better about programming, to make you feel like you're a badass because you train 5 days a week or 6 days a week, or you train more than the others, and everything is like, okay, so maybe you train more than your friends. Are you making more progress than your friends? Like at some point, we gotta explain, like you cannot have a conversation about a conversation when it comes to training. Training is based on making progress, because otherwise why are we training? Imagine if you're training really hard 6 days a week and making no progress. Like why would you continue, right? Just to stay where you are. If you train 6 days a week just to stay where you are without making progress, dude, the anxiety coming with that is gonna ravage your mind. And by the way, that's not even true. You're just not training correctly. And it's not the programming per se, it's the application of the programming. It's not food ingested, it's food digested. Same thing with training. It's like, are you making progress? If the answer is yes, keep doing it exactly the same way. But if you're not, then right. So for example, right now I'm making a lot of progress, so I know that volume versus heavy is working really well for me. But with those progresses, there's no way I'm doing 5 days a week on a regular basis. So I have to cut to 4. And you know what? If I have to cut to 3, then I'll cut to 3. And then I'll do some easy stuff on the side, on the days where I'm bored. And if that impedes my recovery, then I'll just find a hobby. You know what I mean? That's all. Like, just training has to be based on progress.
And I think also with that, with training to make progress, there comes an acceptance of having to accept where you are right now, which
If you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going.
Yeah, and sure. Which is sometimes a hard thing, because sometimes you are in your training not where you want to be, or you're not, like, for example, when I started lifting, I was not where I wanted to be with lifting. I came from a sport where I was really good and I knew what I was doing into something new, and I was like constantly like, I want to be better already, but I'm not. Like, I'm still like weak. That in a way stops you from making progress instantly, because you cannot say to yourself, oh, I'm weak. Yeah, maybe you are right now, but if you not like realize where you are and accept that, you cannot move anywhere from there.
Weak compared to what?
No, I'm not.
At what cost, and what is the evidence?
Yeah.
No, but it's true, like, because we have that conversation with sorry, mosquitoes are out.
Yeah, like, dude, I'm literally like everywhere. Bleeding here.
Like, we have that conversation with clients. You know, whenever they say should, sorry, the monkeys are back. Sorry, like, we're having a disjointed podcast, but the monkeys are back, so the dogs are losing their mind again. We have that conversation with between clients, the should, the could, and everything. It's like, I don't really care where you are right now. Honestly, I absolutely don't care where you are right now. What matters to me is that we get better, right? Progress. And so wherever you are is wherever you are. Like, we can have conversation about where you are, but I don't really care. How about we do something about it? If you think you're weak, again, compared to what? At what cost? Getting stronger. And what is the evidence? How do we measure it? But after that, it's just let's do something about it.
And
that's all.
Yes, it's that, but it's also it doesn't matter where you are right now, but we do need to measure where you are right now, because otherwise we cannot move from here. Like, if you are in your mind like, oh, I have a 200 kilo deadlift, really it is 120. Then
it'll be 180.
You would say, or it is 180 or whatever. Then we cannot program for you, because we don't know where you are right now.
No, because we're going to program on numbers that are not correct.
So you're going to set yourself up for failure constantly.
And the setup for failure is actually the main issue with programming. So what we see with programming problems is, honestly, a lot of time the program that I looked at are two things. First, it's way too much. You cannot recover from all that work. That's mostly what I see on YouTube. Really? Volume is key, but even with strength, it's like 25 sets per. On the bench, it's gonna be 5 sets of bench, and then this exercise, and before you know it, they've done like 25, 30 sets, what are supposed to be high intensity. I was like, there's no fucking way. First of all, there's no way you're doing 25 sets, and second of all, you're not recovering from that. So you can, but then it becomes a grind, and you're not making any progress, because more is better. So it's easier to sell programs that show a lot, because people get their pride out of doing hard workouts. Instead of workouts that bring you progress, a lot of people are stuck doing hard workouts. They don't know why, they don't know how, they just, I can train really hard. I'm like, that's great, but everybody can. That's why we all athletes. Yeah. It's like the pro bodybuilder. They say, I love training, and they always feel his. He was like, well, you better. We all do, but that's why we're here. That's why we chose this life. Like, enjoying working out is not a requirement. It's just, if you don't enjoy working out, you're not even part of the conversation. Yeah. That's not the requirement. The requirement is progress, being good, like all the other stuff. We all enjoy working out, or at least the results of working out. Otherwise, you wouldn't be in this life anyway. Awesome. You would not listen to this podcast.
No. If you don't like being in the gym, you're not going to be a coach or training yourself.
So like, the issue is, what we're going to see is just people that do too much for where they are. And it's not just ego, it's also identity, because too many people are basing their identity on the amount of work that they're capable of doing. Oh, look, I can do a 45-minute EMOM or a 60-minute EMOM with max weights and everything. And I'm like, all right, but are you making progress? What is that giving you? What does success look like? Compared to what? Like, again, like, it's if you want your programming to be successful, there has to be where you are, where you're going, and the way there. Like, we have to go toward critical thinking a little bit on this one. And that's going to lead into the stuff I want to talk about after. But even on that alone, it's like, I don't care how tough you are in your workout. It's just how much are you getting out of it. I remember, like, the jiu-jitsu, for example, like, all white belts show up in their sparring session with even higher belts, like it's a UFC fight. And they try to resist and everything. And every time, I can tell you as a higher belt, because I was in charge of training them, every time I was like, dude, you're not going to win, right? I'm stronger, more technical than you. I'm better. I'm a higher belt. I know stuff you don't even know exists. You're going to lose. That's okay. That's not the point. The point is learn as you lose, so that learn the way I do things, so that you can at least get my version of it, and you can see if it fits yours, and then we go from there. It's like a dance if you want, but you're not leading that dance, I got to tell you. And so what you get is white belts that are resisting on everything, and then in the locker room talk about how long it took for the higher belt to submit them. I'm like, dude, you're never gonna learn doing this shit. Now your identity is being a tough guy who can resist the black belt. The reason you resisted the black belt is because he didn't try. Because it's boring to go with white belts that don't know anything but resist like crazy. I know, I've been there. So I just hold for 5 minutes, then I won't spar with you again because it gives me pleasure to do so. Yeah. You haven't learned anything, and I had absolutely no pleasure. So do you know what I do? Yeah, I'll move you around, and then you think you're tough because you resisted me for 5 minutes. You see what I mean? That mentality, and by the way, that's normal with white belts. That's the point of going to blue and purple, is discovering that actually you were really stupid as a white belt. And I was that even as a blue belt, by the way. It took John Machado choking me out 3,000 times for me to finally learn jiu-jitsu. But the point I'm making is, like, if the workout that you're doing are based on how tough you are for doing those workouts, you're that white belt. It's the same thing. You're not making progress. You're not learning jiu-jitsu. All you're doing is building that fantasy, that image of yourself on how tough you are as a person, because you can train 22 times a week or doing this, and I'm like, okay, but are you making progress? Is it sustainable?
Is that in a way also a form of like self-indulgence, if you want?
It's always the same form. Is when you get to a white belt, everybody's better than you, and no one likes that. Yeah. So you have to go, yes, but. It's just a yes, but. Yes, but I'm not a game athlete, but I'm training really hard. I'm not this, but I'm doing that. It's the but. Okay. I'm not getting stronger, but I'm training a lot. This is, for example, the early CrossFitters. Like, yeah, I can't deadlift that, but I can run a marathon. Oh, I can't run a marathon in 3 hours, but I can deadlift 500. Yeah. So it was always that thing, is like, which is in a way of saying, like, yeah, but look, I have a good side. Yes, you do. No one is denying that. You don't have to showcase it. Of course you have a good side. And then if you like to be able to run a good 5K and then deadlift a lot of weight, that's awesome. I understand. I did it at some point. I even beat her on the 5K.
Stop!
So, like, no one say you shouldn't thrive for those things. But I got good. I got good at the 5K. I mean, I don't know about good, but better than her. I did it by training for it. I'm like, all right, how am I going to do this? I had my training sessions, like 1K every 5 minutes, so 3:30, split 1K every 5 minutes, stuff like that. And then I did hell and a lot, some 400 meter sprints. I had a plan. Mm-hmm. I instituted the plan. I ran the 5K faster than you. Done. And then, you know what? I did the same thing with strongmen. And then if I wanted to do both, I would have to basically find a way to be able to, for my hips to recover. Anyway, I would have a plan. I would know where I start, and then I would try to go toward a competition at the end, or at least timing the 5K to know if I made progress or not. That's how you do it. You take the thing, and then, but what you don't do is like, I'm going to do this all year long. All year long, I'm going to have top strongman numbers, top 5K numbers, and at any moment I can do that. No such things. You want to be good at something, you prepare for it, you have a plan, you finish, you see where you're at, you do it again, and you get better.
Well, yeah, and I feel like that's also another thing. It's like you hear such unrealistic goals all the time. It's like, I want to always be able to hop into this competition and also in this competition.
That ain't happening.
I'm sorry, but if you say that, you've never done a competition, because...
at a high level.
Yes, because the amount of, like, for example, I would, as much as I run and I'm conditioned and everything, I am not even near ready to do a sprint competition. I would not even be able to prep for a sprint competition.
You're not ready to prep for a competition. Yeah, you would have to do a prep for the prep.
Because it's just, I know what it takes to be in that shape, and how much work and what feeling it takes to be in that shape. Same thing as with powerlifting, like the amount of structural strength and everything you need to even be in a prep. So you can't be like that all year,
no, but
round, and you cannot do that in two different sports if you want to be
but even in the single
level.
strength, like you're not going to be at 98% all year long. Like that's just not going to happen. Like you don't want to go below 90%, but let's be honest, like right after the competition you have to take 2-3 weeks off, and so if you compete twice a year, that tells you where you are. But even that, you're always going to be at like 92%, but all year long, and then with your peaks, obviously, but don't think you're going to be in imagine if a bodybuilder had to be in contest shape all year long. He wouldn't make it 2 years without getting a heart attack. That's not how the shit works.
Like there's one thing I learned in actually going to school, and it was like a thing we did in marketing. It's called a SMART goal, right? And there's the R is for realistic, and T is for a time bound, right? And that's what you see missing in most people's goals. It's like it needs to be realistic. Like, actually, where am I and what can I achieve? It's 15 kilos a year if you're lucky. Like,
per lift.
Lift.
15 kilos a year per lift on average, which is 75 in 5 years. So it's a fuck ton.
And honestly, I wish that was part of. I wish that someone would have told me when I was younger, like realistic, not like in your head, like. But
no, but for example, like sprinting is like you never shoot for 11.3. It's like let's say you're 11.9. I would be like, all right, 2.5 per year.
That's a lot.
Right.
Second and a half.
Sorry. Tenth of a
tenth of a second. Yeah.
Tenth of a 0.15 of a second per year.
Yeah.
Like, but that's a second every 6 years.
Yeah.
That sounds slow. It isn't.
There's a lot.
It is slow. It's like, for example, if you're snatching something that is heavy for you, not the first 2 years, but like say you get a different, you get a decent snatch. After that, it's 2-3 kilo a year. Clock off was 1 kilo at that level. But you have to understand that at a world class level, it's a kilo a year on the squat, on the snatch, or on average. If you get someone who lower than that, it's going to be 2-3 kilos. Then if you get someone who just started, of course, it's going to be 10 kilos. But the higher you go in weight and in skill, the less that progress will show. So as long as we make, so for example, if I say like, we're going to work on your snatch and it's going to be 2 kilo a year, most people will be like, I'm not doing that. No, because you don't value because there's no reason for you to do so. But 2 kilos a year would sound disheartening. It's like, I'm going to do all that work for 2 kilos. Yeah.
But if you don't do it, you're going to either lose weight or you're going to stay exactly at the same weight. So what? You won't
stay at the same, because you're going to keep forcing stuff at the same weight and you'll get injured. It's just not the way things are. Is you have to, for things to work, is you have to go, okay, what does success look like? You have to very precise idea of what you want, and we're going to work on that. We have a plan and everything. And this is where most people start also to go wrong, which is the second part I wanted to touch on, is that idea. It's like, okay, we have a plan and then we execute it. Right, over 6 months to a year, not 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that doesn't work. That 6 week stuff, of course it works for 6 weeks because anything works for 6 weeks. But the problem is you're going to go right back to where you were before the 6 weeks. That's not working. That's not what we mean by progress, which means you don't lift for 2 months. You do a 6 week cycle and you lift. Of course, the lift is going to go up. The lift is going to be higher at the end of the 6 weeks than it was at the beginning. You know why? Because you started lifting, you're doing that lift again. So the skill portion alone means you're getting better and then you go up.
Yeah.
But that's not how we measure success. When we measure success, did your snatch overall go up?
Yeah.
Or that lift, your squat or whatever, go up? And if every year your squat goes up, then you're doing awesome. Then you should be doing that. You shouldn't listen to anybody else, and you should be doing exactly what you're doing. Why? Because it makes you progress. Once you get stuck, if you get stuck, then okay, you start changing. But in the meantime, do what you do. But the time issue is very important here, because you're going to have to stick with something. You're going to have to take a programming and stick with it for 6 months, a year. Yeah. You know why I fucked up that shoulder? Because I went to the global gym and decided to go, I'm going to try to do biceps. Yeah, but I gave myself at least 8 months of it, because I was like, all right, let me fix it. And I know I can't fix or try to do anything knowing if I'm right or wrong under 6 months. So I did 8-9 months of that, and I fucked up my bicep, which gave me shoulder pain. So yeah, no, it didn't work. But I could not have figured out if it was working or not in 6 weeks. I had to do 9 months of it. Did I waste 9 months? No, I didn't. Because I learned a lot about what not to do in those 9 months, which is part of progress as well. So did it give me the biceps? It didn't. Did it hurt my shoulder? It did. Did I learn a lot? As well. nothing is that. But there's no 6 weeks here. Have a plan, but take something and spend. If you want to be good at something, how long is it going to take? More than 6 months, I can tell you that. So you want to truly make progress on the squat? All right. I had Sam, who coached me on the squat, took me 5 years to get to a decent level. But it's like, if you want to be good at the squat, for example, okay, 3 years.
Yeah.
Same thing on your deadlift.
And
3 years.
By the way, that's fast. Like, and that's also not getting injured, not having any issue. Like, for example, in sprinting, right? After I got injured, it was like the first race you come back, you're like, I hope I'm not like half a second slower than my last PR was. And from it's actually a great lesson, because you go like, nothing is guaranteed. Like, if everything goes smooth, you have progress. But sometimes, some years, you might even be happy with like breaking even. Because of whatever reason happens, whatever, maybe something in your life happened or an injury. And that is also part of training and part of all of that. It's like, there needs to be a realistic goal, because it can't always be only better, and that's also kind of accepting that and working through that.
You can do always better. It's just the thing is, like, for example, the problem I think with that is, if you take like a 2-year chunk, every 2 years we can be better. You should be better than you were 2 years ago, for example. But the problem is, people, it's like people when they start losing weight and they weigh themselves every day. Yeah, that's a nightmare, because you're going to go up or down. That's not the problem. The problem is, a year from now, did you lose weight or not? For strength, a little bit the same thing. If we look every 2 years or 18 months, then you have a good idea if your programming is working or not. But people look at it 18 days. They start training and they go, hey, my squat didn't go up. Look, I did 6 weeks of that, my squat didn't go up. I'm like, well, yeah, because we barely started building up the thing, and that glutes or hammies that we're building up right now, we're going to have to apply it.
Takes a really long
to the squat. So first of all, I have to build it, and then I have to take that strength, and you have to learn to use it on the squat, which now is almost like a new technique. So we're going to have to convert that extra glute hammy into squat kilos, which we will, but it takes time, and it's not 6 weeks. And honestly, like, and this is a part I want to talk about today is, for example, I'll use the example of the deadlift. I have a lot of my people that have problem with the deadlift because honestly they watched way too many YouTube videos on a deadlift. So now they got 16 different very good coaches that are saying different things on a deadlift, and people get confused because they are not saying different things on a deadlift. They're all actually saying exactly the same thing, but they're phrasing it differently so that you watch their videos and not the other guy. Because it's the way the fitness industry is, and it's the way YouTube works and everything, and that's why they put all those thumbnails and all that shit. It's because that's the only way they get paid. And that's why I don't monetize mine, because I can say whatever I want. And so we make money on the template. But if you start looking around on tips on the deadlift or stuff like that, you're never gonna get. You're gonna be in so much trouble because there's so much information out there. There's actually not that much if you start to understand how these things works, but it looks like there's a lot. So now people are like, so knees forward or not, hips are there, and they just get in their head, and then they can't make progress anymore, because at the end, you know who's deadlifting? You. And there's a huge part that is on you to do to get better on deadlifting, which is you want to listen to other people, obviously. You don't be uncoachable, right? Listen to your coach, see what is there. But there's also the other half, and the other half is like, no, don't listen. Like, is your deadlift feeling good?
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I am gonna clip that and send it to him.
But you don't listen, so
I never listen. But it's also kind of like I feel like, so I have kind of an opinion on this.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. No doubt.
I have a little bit of an opinion.
Please tell me what your opinion is.
No, but
I don't hear enough of your opinions on a daily basis. I want to hear that one.
No, but
I kind of want to hear that one.
Okay. I feel like
I'm sure you do. I'm sure it's very felt. Yeah. I'm not sure it's very critical, but I'm sure it's very emotional.
No, but okay, a lot of the Strongfit principles and the whole thing is based on helping someone perform within their sport, like helping CrossFitters or helping, for example, a sprinter get better and everything, and balancing that out, right? But like you can't balance it out to the soft side too much either, where it's all about how you feel and like this
That's
and that.
That's not what I said.
No, and that's not what you say, but I'm saying that a lot of people interpret it like that.
No, I said like you shouldn't listen. That's not what I
think you should go through a brick wall and use the principles to not do that all the time. You mean to balance it out and be in a constructive way. No, you just wanted to
talk about your stuff, because that's not what I was talking about. What I meant by that is like not listen as in like information is one thing, knowledge is another.
Oh, okay.
At some point, you have to make the information yours. And that requires you to try stuff and not continuously go, so, coach, how do I do this? What about that?
Oh, okay.
I'm like, at some point, it has to be like, this feels right. I'm doing better this way. Not just me as in, coach, how do I look? How, it's like, okay, so how do you look? But does that feel correct? Do you feel stronger in that position? There's a moment where you have to make the information yours. That's what knowledge is. Knowledge is information that you made yours. Because the fact is, I'll give you tips on a deadlift and make your back stronger and everything, but you have your own leverages.
Yeah.
So whenever you lift, it feels a certain way. Yes, so, we all do things the right way differently.
Yeah.
But we all do things the wrong way the same. So my job is to avoid the wrong way, because it's always done the same. But once we start switching to the right way, you're going to have to find, because we all do that differently. So my job is to make sure that you don't lift the wrong way.
Yeah.
Your job as an athlete is to make sure that you lift the right way.
Yeah.
And the right way means the right way for you, because there is no right way for everybody. There is the wrong way.
You got to make it your own type of thing.
But you have to make it your own. So information gets you out of the wrong way.
Yeah.
Knowledge gets you into the right way.
Yeah.
And that switch is very important.
Yes.
So it's a 50-50 job in that sense.
Yeah.
My job is to make sure you don't fuck up like we all do, because I have enough experience to have seen it twice and did it myself more than that. That's my job. But your job as the athlete is to make it the right way.
Yeah.
And you will deadlift not the way I do, not the way you do it. It's going to be slightly different. And it may even visually sometimes you can tell the difference, but the feeling is yours, not anybody else. And if you don't get that feeling of, I push my hips correctly or whatever, like it's...
You have to create your own feedback in that sense of your own body and everything. Yeah. No, I was not saying actually, that was actually
That's what I meant by
different.
don't listen. But
But I'll take that anyway. My brain is so foggy still.
Well, that's because you're on like 8 Tylenols a day. So
Jesus, I'm on so much medication. I'm so foggy.
Yeah.
I have 2 brain cells, maybe 1 instead of 3.
Well, you had 3, so now you lost 1.
Yeah.
So
Jesus Christ.
It's a big percentage when you have 3.
My goodness. Well,
so
I think I'm not good on a good podcast host today at all. But okay,
you're fine.
We'll make it work.
Exactly. You're hard, so. I mean,
I'll show a little extra leg.
Yeah, exactly. That's why the shorts are a bit shorter, because you have to make up the difference. No, it's not why. Those are not tiny shorts. I'm pretty sure everybody disagrees, but anyway, so third part of it is, let's talk a little bit about the part of the programming no one wants to acknowledge. Some of the stuff is gonna be, let's call it stable, and to most people, I mean boring. Exactly, right. So it's like when I do like Q-1.
It's like being married for like whatever, how many years now. It's boring.
It's been a while. Thank you. Is it? It's never boring with you, I can tell you that.
Psycho.
Yeah, exactly. Psychos are never boring. So two sides to that. First of all, I think a lot of people are confusing stable and boring. Because understand something. Boring and anger are the 2 main ways to quit.
Boring and?
Anger.
Oh, yeah.
Are the 2 main ways. So I get that a lot with especially my women's client. Like they get angry at the stuff that doesn't work and everything. It's like, because you're frustrated. And so your anger is just you quitting because it's not giving you the results fast enough. The reason it's not giving you the results fast enough is because you are mistaken about how long it takes to get those results. Like, get your head out of Instagram and all that shit. Don't believe them when they say they can give you that in 4 weeks, because they can't. Do the work, and you know how long it takes? As long as it takes. So the problem is that your frustration is based on the wrong idea about how this shit gets done in the first place. But understand that your boredom or your anger comes out of you wanting to quit. That's all. So you can endure it, but the fact is you're quitting. That energy that you're putting in being bored or being angry, why don't you put it in the training itself? Because trust me, you'll do a lot better once you do that. But that anger stuff, I've seen it so often. That is just a way for you to quit.
That's very true.
Emotions are questions, not answers.
Yes.
Understand that. That emotion that you're feeling is a question, not an answer. So, I feel angry, therefore I can quit. No, you are justifying quitting, and anger is the easiest way to do that. Boredom being the second easiest. It's just an easy way that you found to quit. Sorry, is that. Emotions are questions, not answers. So, your anger is asking you, hey, can we quit? And your answer is yes. That's all.
It's just giving in, basically.
You're giving in. Why? Because it's hard. Because stable is boring. No, you don't like stable because you don't get that fucking Facebook quote to feel inspired every day. You know why? Because that's emotional thinking. Emotional thinking, that's a diva brain. It requires more and more and more. It wants more energy. How do you create energy? By creating an emotion. You need to create a question. So you need to be in your head and start to make bubbles. So you feed off of those bubbles. That energy is much better served doing the stuff. But it's true, you do Q-1 3 times a week. Oh, it's boring. Really, 10 minutes 3 times a week is too much to ask?
Yeah.
Even though you know, and you all know how good it makes you feel overall. And yet you can't give me 3 times 10 minutes.
Isn't that so interesting?
Isn't that crazy? Why? Because it makes you have questions going through your head because you have to do the stuff. Yeah. Because the fact is, you can't stick to anything that doesn't give you an emotional response. And a lot of your training is going to be boring in that sense, as in stable, where just do the thing. That's all. Do the Q-1. Like, I have to do tricep work. All right, I got my 2 sets. You don't have to think about it. You just have to do the fucking thing. Are you capable of just doing the thing for 6 months? But not 3 days, right? Do Q-1 3 times a week for 6 months. See the results mentally. And what do I mean for 6 months? I don't want you to ask yourself the question every other day going like, is this good? Does that do something for me? That's already losing.
But that's honestly, you have to, in that sense, also burn the questions with that stuff. It's like you have to stop asking.
For 6 months.
Just
stop asking.
Stop asking and just stop and start doing this stuff.
The reason you're asking is because emotions are questions. And so what you're doing is creating more emotions because you're being fueled by that because you're in the emotional thinking part of your brain. And I want you in the critical part of your brain because that's the only way you're going to make progress. Yeah. So stop asking yourself if it's not. Give it 6 months. Do Q-1 3 to 4 times a week for 6 months. Look at the difference in mental health. And so I have people asking, begging, saying, I will do anything to feel better mentally. I give them all the stuff on a platter. And guess what? 3 weeks after, they go, I feel better, they quit. And then when it comes back...
Why do you think that is? Is because of that boredom?
Yeah. It's because this is the base of behavior cognitive therapy, is the fact that we need to get you out of the emotional thinking brain to go into the critical thinking brain. You know what the critical thinking brain doesn't give you? The same feeling as the emotional one. Like that Facebook quote that makes you feel so good in the morning, I'm a winner, or the fact that, look, I can finish the programming the way it's written, I'm a winner. No, you're a winner when you make progress. But that doesn't fuel you on the emotional level. So people now, and social media making it 20 times worse, but also the West being soft as it is always emotional thinking. Where there is only one way to truly make progress is critical mind, which means epistemology, start with that.
Yeah.
Critical thinking, where we start here, I'm going to give it 6 months, I'm going to do the stuff for 6 months here. People, they're on the emotional side, for example, is they'll do something because they're in pain, right? And I tell them, I'm going to give you the exercise, your lower back is going to feel better. That is the moment when the work starts, because I need to make the area stronger now. So I'm just going to make you feel better until we can start training so that you get strong enough that it never happens again. I get them the stuff for 3 weeks. The second their back doesn't hurt on a daily basis, they stop. They quit. Not everybody, but like I get 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
7 out of 10. The second they're not in pain every day, they don't have that constant reminder of pain, they stop doing the stuff that got them off pain, which of course it comes back. Now they get frustrated and now your stuff doesn't work, and now they talk about pills and things like that. Yeah, because you got to do the stuff. Yeah. And no, by the way, yeah, you do the stuff. Some weeks are good, some week worse. But like this shit has been going on for a year and a half. So, but I was like, I'm going to solve it as I train. I didn't want to stop, do anti-inflammatories for like 6 months or whatever. So I kept training through it. And you know what? It's better. It's like 98% now. Now I can bench, I can do all stuff. Pain is gone. But that took me a while because I didn't want to stop training as I was fixing the shoulder. So of course, I kept irritating the shoulder because I kept irritating the biceps. All right, because turns out I can't train the bicep with a full extension. I have to do like an arm wrestler because otherwise I go toward my forearm and my brachialis. Uh-oh. You lost the co-host. Did I burn? Or you got scared?
No, it's that fucking toxic...
I got that on camera. This is awesome.
Is that fucking toxic... How do you call that? Caterpillar?
It's a toxic... Because we have toxic caterpillars in Brazil. And so if you're not watching the video, Janina just jumped about like 4 feet in the air as she had that toxic caterpillar that went up her legs. We don't know if that's the toxic one or not, but we're going to pretend it was.
No, it's the green one.
Anyway, okay.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm brain foggy and I'm also apparently attacked.
And they are actually toxic caterpillars in Brazil. So they're poisonous. So they leave a tray of chemicals under your skin and it will burn the living fuck out of you.
Yeah, but those ones, if you have the green one that... Nah, this one I think was not too bad, but...
Okay, so you guys know, the green ones, so there's a problem because sometimes they cross the bed and they leave that tray of chemicals on the bed and so you sleep in it and suddenly you start burning. And I'm not kidding, it takes 30 minutes for the burn to go away. And that shit burns. It's like chemical burn for 30 minutes. Anyway, welcome to Brazil. So
sorry, guys.
It's okay, I just don't remember where I was, but I know I was somewhere around like the boring stuff. So... so I kept training through the stuff because I wanted to understand the pattern of what happened and to be able to fix it because I know other people have shoulder problem, which by the way, I'm coming up with a shoulder module because I'll show you exactly everything that was done. Oh yeah, and then for the biceps for me, because I have so much forearms and back, I was not using the bicep to start curling, but so my bicep only works on the top third, a bit like an arm wrestler. So I started to develop more toward that, and that's actually working. I'll explain all that on the module. But it took me a year and a half to figure it out, and I'm good at this. That's my job. I'm a movement specialist, and I was like, this works, but this doesn't. This works, but this doesn't. Because there was a lot of... it wasn't one thing, because it's never one thing. It was a bunch of things that had to come together, which now now as I'm doing all those things together, my shoulder suddenly, by the way, my shoulder getting, let's say 100% better, right? The first 90% took me a year and 4 months. The last 10% I did in the last month.
But
because I figured it out eventually.
I mean, maybe, I think there's, even if this wasn't a legit injury and everything that you had to address, but there's also always something like there's always a pain somewhere that you have to address. There's always a weakness you want to address. There's no such thing as mindless just pushing yourself. That is not how it works.
There's always going to be kinks and stuff to fix.
Yes, or you're like kid who just getting to training, you don't have any pain, but like after like a while you're gonna, like, I'm still to this day working on my hamstrings a specific way. I still have certain weaknesses that I have to address, otherwise I get pain there and pain there. But that doesn't make you that doesn't have to make you stop progressing in other way. You just have to pay a lot of attention
because
you always have to
like
deal
I
with
talked
it,
about my hip back on the right side because of my right foot for so long. By the way, that I fixed completely. It's been completely gone.
Isn't that crazy? By the
for
way,
a year now, zero. Like that. Anybody who knows me, like that was bothering me for a long time. It was actually turned out to be a hip issue, but that I fixed completely. So now it's gone. I can do everything else. The shoulder bothered me, but that's the stuff that started in Amsterdam, and it was a bicep thing, which now I'm starting to understand how I did it. But it's really in the last month that I put everything together. But before that, I banged my head against the wall for over a year. Yes, I was stubborn because I wanted to keep on training, because I wanted to make the progress and go back to strongman and everything. And I probably delayed things by being that. But because I also wanted to do it as a movement specialist, I was like, all right, I'm going to be my own guinea pig. Let's fix this. Yeah. And then I tried everything, and half the shit didn't work, I gotta tell you. So some weeks, I irritated the living fuck out of the bicep, and I couldn't even press, or I had to take upper body week off. I couldn't even do deadlift, because as I leaned forward, it was pinching. bicep. That'll be on the back issue module. So some weeks I couldn't. I had to let go of the barbell because that shit was killing me. But that made me work in neutral grip more, and then reverse grip, which turns out is a great idea. So that ordeal made me a better movement specialist, and I will use that in a way to program for myself and for you guys better after, so that I don't have to deal with it again. But the shit took a year and a half. And some of it is boring, I gotta tell you.
No, yeah, I mean...
Like I do my, like GM press and everything. Like, I hate doing arms and stuff like that, which shows. But I'm finding a way to actually make progress on my... Doesn't look, but my arms are actually bigger. Because I found a way to make the progress finally on the triceps. I had to do like a GM press down, but because the key is a long head of the tricep. If you want to, I'm telling you, if you want to press more, it's triceps, but specifically the long head of the tricep. So for example, when you do the press down GM, it's better if you shrug because of the way the long head attaches. It attaches not on the AC joint, not on the humerus, it attaches all the way in the back. So if you shrug, you kind of elongate and you can actually activate the long head of the tricep better. Right, so there's stuff like that where... And I know that it's because I've studied some great bench pressers, and then you get 2 or 3 together and they all talk about the same thing that I want to test. And then I was like, cool, that's interesting. And I understood that most of the issue with the bicep lack of stabilization actually destabilized my triceps. And then but the long head, I got irritated because it turns out the lazy head, like the short head, the tricep, I have it very strong, but the long head is a problem, which I knew but didn't address properly before. So now I actually spent 6 months going, all right, long head of the tricep. And now I have a good handle on it. And guess what? My arms are bigger because now I know how to train them correctly. I mean, I don't have Schwarzenegger's arms. That's not going to happen. But trust me, because
size
I don't...
doesn't matter.
Oh, that's not true. I've had enough women in my life to know that's a thing men would like to think, but all women know it's a complete bullshit. Guys, don't believe them when they say that. They're just being nice. And it usually means you have a small dick if they say it.
I stop.
But if a woman tells you...
I was not even referring to that. I was just talking about your
You better
arms.
not refer to me, thank you.
I was talking about your
To
arms.
me, you say size does matter. You know that. I'm like, yes, I know, thank you.
I was talking about your arms.
There you go.
Can you stop?
Are you saying I have small arms? Is that what you're saying? Anyway.
I think I'm not saying anything right.
It's like the jaw, size matters. Oh. Anyway.
I lost my beauty for a week and I'm not mentally recovered from it.
That's for sure. So, yeah, exactly. Like we touch your identity and everything. Like, dude. Yeah, no. Anyway. Yes. So, but like, again, the shoulder, I use that moment as a positive experience, and I've learned a lot. That's why, like, I'm very happy with the shoulder module. I just finished because I just good shit because I applied it on the bench. I applied it on the overhead press. Why is your shoulder hurting on the deadlift? Why is your shoulder hurting on the squat? What do we do about it? Which exercises are good? And then for me, god dang, it was the arm stuff. It's like, how do I develop the long head of my triceps?
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, the first 2 months, I got a big fat 0 out of all that. My triceps would not move because I wasn't engaging them properly. Yeah. And it's not isolation work. It was actually focusing on so what I discovered for me for the tricep stuff is that the problem is I would stop at the 2 months period going, this is not working. Well, actually what I needed was an extra 2 months to start making it work. So what I did is I did close grip, bench press, with a Swiss bar because it's more long head, and then I'll switch to reverse. But let's say a Swiss bar, like a football bar, with bands because it allows you to get, it works allows you to get the long head. And then I did that for 4 months, and then suddenly my triceps started to build the thing. And when I get to the GM press, I did something, a GM style, like shrugging to the side, because then suddenly it was more long head, but it wasn't triceps, it was long head, and I did it. And you know how long it took me to figure that out? 5 months, because I'm not that smart. And that's laughing a little bit too hard. Thank you. Is that because you're on medication, so you tell the truth now? Anyway.
No, the medication is killing me.
Anyway, so the point is, I'm good at all this, and it took me literally 4 or 5 months it's not even to figure it out. I was like, but I think I'm right on this. Yeah. But right doesn't mean that your triceps are going to react to it in the first 8 weeks.
Exactly.
My triceps were like, you didn't do it before. We don't believe you. So it took basically 4 or 5 months for my triceps to go, okay, fine, we'll do that.
Yeah, and
do you know why? Because it's the elbow is here and not there. It's the angle of the hand. There's so much stuff that you're gonna have to, and not consciously, unconsciously put together for the thing to start working for you. And the tricep bicep thing, it's 5 months. So now, you know when I'm starting to get a pump on the bicep finally correctly? Because I'm doing those half curls, like the, you touch your legs and then you go back up, touch your legs, go back up. Because that top third, I can't use my forearms. So then my biceps are starting to work. And I'm like, well, that's actually working. And then my shoulder feels better. And then suddenly my pec starts to engage on the bench. But it took months because the other way to do the bicep curl didn't work for me, and it's a lot of minutiae of detail that I have to get together, and that shit takes months.
Yeah, I don't really remember who told me this, but I remember learning this when I was sprinting, is that frustration you have with not having it correct is actually a privilege, because that frustration that you know you're not having it right, or you hurt yourself and everything, it's a privilege, because that's going to allow you to progress. You just have to stick with it, and it's going to test you in certain ways, but you have to figure it out, but you have to stay within that frustration. Like happened to me on the deadlift, happened to me on sprinting, and happened to me. It's happening to me right now.
And that bench. Frustration, what they want is they want a single answer. Well,
it's not.
actually,
it's
122 unconscious stuff that have to be about. So we can point you in the right direction, but the fact is, like, let's say stronger triceps, does that make a bigger bench? Yeah. Over time, because now that your triceps are working, we're going to include them into the bench. But then there's 22 things that have to come together for you to use the triceps because you're not used to it. That shit takes time. Stick with something for once.
It's just...
Stop bouncing from programs to progress, from goals to goals, moving the goalpost every 2 seconds. And when something works, just keep doing it. All that shit takes time. Stop with the short-term mentality.
It's also better to do something that doesn't work and stick with it and learning it doesn't work than to switch every single time, because if you switch every single time, you will never know if it doesn't work or does or doesn't work. So you'll never have an answer.
Switching all the time is easier because that's chaos. That's that feminine energy that you're developing into it that leads to emotional thinking. It's chaos. Chaos is amazing when it comes to art, and is also necessary. Any artistic behavior is born out of chaos. Life is born out of chaos. There is nothing relating to life, art, those types of things that can be born out of order. That's why you guys in Holland suck so much.
I was going to say, is this why the French are the way they are?
It's a Latina stuff. The Latin cultures are more chaotic.
My goodness.
Yes, but look.
Latin people are
German culture versus
Latin culture.
Latin culture are far more chaotic, far less structured. But look at art.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but German singing is not exactly seen as the best thing out there. Like German art. I mean, have you looked at the architecture? It's a fucking bunker every time you look. Like, you guys don't understand round. Anyway. But that's like the Dutch can cook for shit. It's like you get a cheese sandwich at lunch and you should be thankful you guys can cook. I'm sorry. Anybody that is not Dutch who lived in Holland, even in Amsterdam, know what I'm talking about.
But, okay.
Food, you guys don't understand.
Well, I mean... Yeah,
it's amazing. Anyway.
I agree, but anyhow, you do see, like, for example, like, we live in a Latin culture, and I learned so much from Brazilians and from Brazil, because it is such a different way of looking at life than what I grew up with, and I learned so much from them.
Right,
because
but
of that chaos.
Let's be honest, it's chaos.
It is chaos.
Right. So you know what progress when it comes to training is chaos. Look at the best lifters, look at the best athletes in general. They were not chaotic people. They could have chaotic lives, but when it came to training, their training was not chaotic. I'm sorry. You might not understand the patterns, but 99% of the great lifters, for example, had very, very strict training regimens. They knew when to back off or whatever, but the last thing he was chaotic. It might look chaotic from the outside, but trust me, it wasn't.
No.
Everything is planned. They have like a 16 weeks and then 4 weeks. They know what they do at that moment and this moment. And this, they are not chaotic. in their training. They can be chaotic outside, but not in their training. No, even you look at the best rugby guys, like they were just shooting 100 penalties in a row, stuff like that, because they knew that when it came down to it, at that moment, that tough moment in a competition, you have to perform on command. And you know how you perform on command? By doing the shit over and over and over again until... So there was a saying that I always loved, which is a amateur practices something until he gets it right. A professional practices it until he can't get it wrong.
It's a very good saying.
Right. So you see the difference between amateur and a pro, and trust me, chaos does not get you there. It's repeating the same thing over and over until all the pieces come together. That's called stability. And that's what you all call boring. Yeah. Because in today's world, it is boring. It shouldn't be, but it is boring. It's because it's boring because we look at it like that, because we used to this now all the time. Just stick with something. Stick with something until you make progress. Maybe it'll take 2 years, but imagine what you will learn out of that for life. Time will pass. If I could tell something to my younger 18-year-old self, if I had one lesson to give, is that time will pass, regardless. Regardless of what you do, regardless of you make progress or not, time will pass.
And you'll be making it by 50.
Making what by 50? My life?
It's like 40 whenever you took Strongfit.
40?
40, 40.
Which is, by the way, average age of the entrepreneur on his first successful startup.
Yeah.
47.
No, but time will pass. And it's
time will pass regardless.
Yeah.
And that's something this is maturity, is understanding that time will pass. That means that the next 2 years, whether you do this or not, the next 2 years will happen. So you can have it happen without the progress or with the progress. Stick with something. You will learn so much from that. And I'm sorry, but 6 months in a career as lifters is nothing. It passes just like that.
2 years is nothing. 3 years is nothing.
It takes you years to get... You're going to hit some roadblocks on certain lifts. It'll take you 2 years to go past. Because it takes 10 years overall to get strong. It's just the way it is.
Fun with the sport starts after 5 years.
Yeah. I agree.
Really, 5 years.
That was Jiu-Jitsu. But Jiu-Jitsu is a great example. That's why I like Jiu-Jitsu so much. The first 2 years, you know what you do? You lose.
You put your head down.
You lose. And you grind it and you go, all right, next. Let me learn. And you're better every time, which is great. But you keep losing because you're not, and even 2 years, let's be honest, it's 3-4 years until you're a purple belt. So yeah, it starts to be fun at year 5. That's most things in life. Good relationships takes 4 or 5 years to build something truly strong. Where it's always that. You know how long it takes to learn a language? At least 2 years. Before that, you feel like you're talking like a baby. All that stuff takes time. Stick with something. Choose one. Stick with it. Let's move forward. That's why I put my template out there now and everything, because I want you to see how I handle it, but also how consistent and stable I am with my training. It's heavy weight on my back every week, and then we're going to do that, and we're going to do this. And some days I'm like, I can't do heavy today. I don't have it because I really want to. No, I won't deadlift today. I don't have it, but I'm going to kill it tomorrow. But what matters is next week, and then the week after that, and then the months after that. And again, you're going to have to fix the shoulder. But I did. And now you guys are going to reap the benefits of it. But even if you have shoulder issue and you want to fix it, just because I figure out how to do it, guess what? When I make you do it, it ain't going to happen in 2 weeks. No. It's going to happen in 8 months, 9 months, a year. Because that's what it takes. And I think on our side too, as coaches, we have to stop selling the 6-week stuff. Because I think the fitness industry is following the medical industry, which is following Wall Street. We are getting into some stupid areas where just lying is okay in order to sell, in order to it's like a train that has no conductor that just goes forward and forward and forward at a bigger speed. Like, we give so much information out there that people cannot use because most of it is either contradictory or just flat out lies. Yeah. Whenever I see science-based now on exercise and YouTube, I know they're lying. I don't. Maybe but not also, lying. I know that they don't know what they're talking about. That is complete bullshit.
And you should definitely argue me on this, but does it always matter why? Like, I mean, it does, right? You need to know why. But at the same time, can you also just do something? Like, but it's an arch.
Yeah, it's an arch. Exactly. We are one person. There you go.
That's
we are
disgusting.
Yeah. That's what she said. But it's an art. Yes,
and
yes, it's true.
It is kind of.
It's true.
It's kind of the same as being so structured and like you say, like being very balanced in your training. Yes, you need to be very structured in your training, but you also need to take that day off. And it's unfortunately it's not as black and white as you want it to be. That is actually the one of the things I learned a lot from sprinting to powerlifting, is that unfortunately it's not as black and white as I wanted it to be within sprinting, which is one of the mistakes I made all the time because I was just a kid and I had some growing up to do. But it is not as black and white. You need to constantly pay attention. There will always be an injury. There's always weakness to work on. You always need to look at yourself, reflect with yourself.
You need to have a plan,
but you
and
also
modify it every day.
Yeah, and also put your head through a brick wall and stop 2 centimeters before that.
Yeah.
And
but know when to take a day off.
Hard.
Yes.
It is really hard.
And know when to take a day off.
And be structured about it. Like keep showing up every week, doing it every week, but also knowing when you go too far, adjust whenever you need.
So when do I take a day off? When do I not take a day off? Yeah.
When am I being a bitch and when do I need to take a day off?
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of looking within, which I think at the end...
No, and experience.
And experience.
But the thing is, experience also, it doesn't come out of a 6-week cycle. Again, experience comes, it's a year, 18 months, 2 years. Like, it's me doing the shoulder for 18 months. Now I'm like, is this what happens?
It's in a way, it's the same as nutrition, right?
Yeah.
You can't sell in 8 weeks because you're going to get the yo-yo effect. Like, if you want to really stay lean and build muscle and be healthy, it's going to have to be a lifestyle. As cringy as that sounds.
Number plus is 2 years.
Facebook
because
quote.
No, but you have to change the gut biome. You have to stabilize blood level, blood sugar levels. Then you have to stabilize all the hormonal levels. Then you have to figure out after that what works for you in order to build muscle, apply it to your training, apply it to the different phases of training, and then take 2 years to start to understand. It's 2 years. It's always 2 years. But this is unsellable. 2 years. Yeah. No one is going to say, I'm going to do your template for 2 years. It's just not the way this works anymore, because someone like, I can get you the progress in 6 weeks.
Maybe.
And then 3 months from now, you'll quit. So then what's the point? Yeah. That's the problem too, is people are willing to tell, I'm going to give you this right now for the next 2 weeks. Yeah, that's called cashing out on the credit card. But you're going to have to put money back in the account, but they're never going to tell you that. They're there only for you to cash out the credit card. My job really is to put money back on the account. It's all the stuff in the back that you judge boring, but that is also necessary. The problem is, I need fucking 2 years. I had so many people that are like, I can fix it. I can fix your back, I can fix your neck and everything. But I need 2 years. Yeah. And we're going to start with stuff that is that it? Yeah, that's it, because you're not capable of more.
You can't do
Or even
more,
if you can do more, you can't recover from more, so therefore you're not capable of more. Not you as your identity, you as your body, hurt as it is right now, is not capable of more. Yeah. It is not my fault. I'm just pointing out that fact to you. I am not the enemy. I am not trying to hold you back from reaching your dreams, which is sometimes how people make me feel.
No,
like I'm the asshole telling them not to reach out for their dreams.
That's what I get too. I'm sorry. It's insane. It's like I'm not here to judge you. I don't care. Talk to your body about it. I'm here to make you make progress. Yeah. It's just like, I know from experience, systems react a certain way. I'm good at all that game theory stuff and everything. I know how systems work. We start here, we move slowly, and then we get there. But that doesn't mean that because I give you what you think is so little, you don't get to invest yourself in it fully. Yeah.
So if I give you 6 days a week, you'll be invested because you know you're going to have to take it seriously. If I give you 3 days a week, you think it's easy, you won't invest in the training, and that's why it's not working. It's not that the 3 days a week is not working because you're not doing enough. Yeah. It's because you're not investing enough of yourself into it, because you think 3 days a week is easy. But if I give you 6 days and you know it's hard, then you're going to treat it as a hard thing to do. You're going to put more energy into it, and it will work better at first. Yeah. But the 6 weeks, 6 days a week is too much, so you're going to start falling down again. So I'm going to give you 3 days. But now that I give you 3 days and you think it's easy, guess what? You go back to not investing anything in that training, and you're not making progress.
Yeah. I had a similar conversation with someone. We were helping with nutrition and everything. And at the time she was struggling with, like, she wanted to lose weight and everything. And we talked about like, okay, if we can do like, she wanted always like 6-week crash diet or whatever. And okay, let's see what food works, what doesn't work. Is this. And there were so many questions like, oh, it's gonna take forever. Yeah, but once you set this up, you have a plan for life because you will know your body. It's the same with exercise. Once we set up this plan, it's a plan for life. It's something you can build on for the rest of your life, that you know where to go.
It will take forever. Yeah. But again, it's like, I'm sorry, and don't get me wrong, I think the fitness industry needs to take its own responsibility in the amount of lying that it does to people, telling them that they can achieve stuff. No, you're not going to be LeBron James, sorry. Like, there's a lot of lying happening, and Instagram is a marketplace now and nothing else, so it's even worse.
Yeah.
On the other side, there's also you who have to stop asking for unreasonable stuff. It's like, oh, it's going to take forever to figure out my own body. What does that even mean? And if you're not willing to give some time and attention to yourself, to your own body, then how do you want me to help you? Because obviously you don't want to help yourself. Not enough that you're willing to spend time on yourself. We're not asking that you spend time on us. It's spending your time on yourself to get better and learning to understand what works for you. And if that's too much of an ask, then what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Like, you need to understand too, is like, yes, you're being lied to, and we need to take our own responsibility in the fitness industry toward that. I agree completely. But there is some of it also on your side of like, come on, this is about you getting better, you yourself. Like, you need to take responsibility for your own actions as well. Otherwise, how are you going to make it? There's something else you can sell today. It's responsibility for your own actions.
But at the other side, like, of course, the fitness industry has its flaws, but at the same time,
it does.
Like, coming from a sport, going into the fitness industry and learning that, like, I didn't know what CrossFit was when I was sprinting, for example, all of that stuff. I was like, damn, they really care about other people. They don't do that in sports. That's kind of cool. Like, I was kind of actually very pleasantly surprised by how invested people in the fitness industry were. I was like, oh, I mean, okay, yes, they sell a 6-week program on how to feel better, but the subject is feeling better. Like, I see that personally. I don't think the fitness industry is that bad compared to what? Yeah. The medical industry? Compared to the sports? Yeah. Like, I don't know if you guys know what they do to kids athletes in sports, in gymnastics or other sports, but compared to that, the fitness industry is a fucking heaven on earth. I'm sorry, I still find the fitness industry very, very reasonable. Yes, they're selling, yes, there's people who are trying to make money and everything, but compared to what?
Yeah, that's kind of true actually, because it's kids sports that can be a rough one. Yeah. Anyway,
I mean, I still don't think. I mean, that's another choice and everything. I still don't criticize that, but I mean, like,
what we want to say really is like, look, like, you can make the programming work, but it requires a certain approach to effort and commitment and everything that is probably much larger and over a longer time period that you think, that you believe it to be the case. It's going to be harder, and it takes longer to get the results that you think you should get. The problem a lot of time that we see is that idea of I should. No, you shouldn't, because who told you should?
But I mean, what does that even mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I really want...
No, but compared to what?
No, but compared to whom? What does that mean, should?
Well, for me, it's like that's why it's like, what does success look like?
Until I feel a burn, until I feel sore, until
what does success look like? And then compared to what? At what cost? What is the evidence? Because should is like, usually it's compared to someone, and okay, but like, what is the cost of those results? Because you probably don't see them, this fact that they spent the last 10 years doing that, or they're doing drugs or whatever. And then what is the evidence is, how do you know what you see is real? Because it can be great angles for pictures, again, steroids or whatever. Like, what is the evidence that we have to measure out the success of those people you're comparing yourself to? And by the way, if it's looks, do you have their genetics? Because I got to tell you, I don't care how hard you train, you don't have the genetics of a Sebum, of a Ronnie Coleman, of those people have run. We see them in Brazil all the time. Like, they have run muscle, they have a natural shape. Unless you're them, I don't care how much you train, you will never look as roundish and aesthetic as some of those Ramondino, the Brazilian dude.
Oh
Dude weighs like 110 kilos. Yeah, he was there.
Funny.
Dude had a waist like this, arms like that. He's tall.
He's massive. Like
he's actually a lot bigger than you would think. For a physique competitor, he's actually massive.
Crazy.
But the dude is round in a way that you're not getting that. Yes, he's taking drugs and everything. Doesn't matter. There's plenty of people that take drugs at the gyms where we at, and none of them look like Ramondino. So no, it's not drugs. And of course, those people are like, oh yeah, but he takes this, he takes that. Try. You won't come close to that guy.
By the way, and it is loving training for his entire life,
all year long,
eating, doing his cardio, and then doing the drugs on top of it. Okay, sure, but he's doing.
But he
all
does
of
his
those
hour
things.
of cardio every single day. He's training all year long. He's eating a specific way.
And he's maybe sacrificing some of his health doing so. Like, are you willing to do that as well? Like, that's also something.
No, like we don't go out. Like we go out at 6 o'clock to get a beer or something. We back home by 8.
Tea.
We have dinner. Tea. We back home so that we can be in bed by 9:30, because you have to train the next morning. So we don't go out. Like, when was the last time we went out? Like, we go out for dinner.
Wasn't that
out in a bar?
Wasn't that when we lived in Rio?
Yeah, probably. Like, we go get a drink like once every 2 months, maybe 3. Like, we having a drink with a friend. That's once a month, maybe. Like, because you have to train the next day. And if you go out too late and your sleep isn't good, and then we do that on Saturday, but then Sunday is kind of ruined because I'm too tired, and then I feel like resting on Monday, so now I lost a day of training. Like, so we don't. Do you want that? No, you don't. You know what I mean? Like, so my point is, we have to be.
I mean, at the same time, like, I think we're already doing good by going out once a month and having our Saturday.
Yeah, exactly.
And I did have a good balance. Like, I find that a good balance.
Because we love training and we want the progress. At the end, that's what matters.
Honestly, that's from you healthy.
Yeah,
that was.
Exactly.
I find this a very healthy balance.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want the
right?
I would say.
No, but like, so because again, like, we have a template out, so obviously we think our programming is good, but half of the stuff is not what's written. It's everything else. It's the consistency. Yeah. If it's sustainable, it's the doing the boring stuff. Like, you got to do your Q-1 at least 3 times a week. And I don't care. It's, again, I'm asking you for 3 times 10 minutes. That's it. So no, you have to do that.
And I think what people also like about the template, like, we have a general idea of the block we're gonna do, like the 3 months block. Then we have an idea of the month block we're gonna do, and then we have a suggestion of exercises. Still, day by day, our program, we don't write down a program for 3 months ahead. We decide every single day, because every single day you might want to adjust something, but based on how you feel,
how tired you are. For example,
so
if I'm tired,
see what we are doing, not what we plan to do. We write down at the end of the day what we actually did, never beforehand. So
and if you're interested, I can make, at least on mine, a better effort toward explaining my choice of exercises. Because, for example, if I'm tired, I know some exercises, even if I load heavy, are less taxing on my system than others.
Yeah.
Like, for example, anything that is farmer's walk, I can go extremely heavy, but it doesn't seem to make me that tired. Whenever I work with a barbell, it's far more. So there's things like that where, and it's not always load dependent, but I can do strongman a lot, but static is more taxing. So depending on how tired I am, I will switch exercises.
Yeah, and
that there's a way to deal with recovery as well. Is the lower the WES, the easier it is on the nervous system. Even though you can burn yourself out doing that as well, there are ways to choose exercises based on how you feel that day, which is an important skill to have as well.
That, and also, like, for example, like, sometimes running was on the schedule, but it's pouring, raining, so I'm going the air down.
Yeah.
Or
sometimes she doesn't go running because it's just too much.
Yeah,
like today, she has to take a day off. She's tired from yesterday because of the dentist, because of the medication.
Dentist shit was very
it's very taxing. But anyway, that's part of all the stuff that needs to be done. Like for example, today, I'm exhausted. I'm deadlifting tomorrow because I really want to get to. I think I can get close to 700 pounds on my farmer's deadlift.
That's crazy.
Tomorrow, I think I can do 660, so 300 kilos.
That's crazy.
I can go. I'm pretty sure I can go to that.
That's
nuts. But not today. Today I don't have it. So I really want. Yeah, no, it's getting there. But that the fact that I'm getting with those weights too means I have to switch to 4 days. Otherwise, I won't make it.
Yeah.
Like the 5-6 days is. I might do back to 5 if I just decide to take a 2 months easy off season, just weight at 90%. Then I can go to 5 days.
Yeah.
But like right now, where I'm getting stronger and I can actually starting to move weight, I'm going to switch to 4 days. And then if I need, I'm going to do the deloading like 1 lift a week type of thing. But if I hit a wall and I have to deload for a few weeks, then I'll do 5 days a week deloaded.
Okay.
Because
like
intensity, but it's an arch. Intensity and volume go hand in hand. But right now, my intensity is going either in how hard I train, but also the amount of weight that I lift. So that means that the volume has to go down.
Yeah.
And also, I'm not conditioned to train at those weights that way anymore. So that also going to take me time. So I'll have to switch to 4 days, maybe sometimes 3, so I can rebuild myself to, let's say, 5 days at that intensity. Then the weight will go up, and then I'll have to come down again. Because those things are necessary. So you'll see that in the template.
That's a bit where I'm at right now. It's
but
like
you're gonna see us training all year long.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. So we always train hard all year long. It's just, can you digest the training?
Yeah,
is always the number one question.
I do really feel like every 8 to 10 weeks you need to kind of switch up the exercises or what you're doing, or like doing more carries instead of more days, like whatever it is. But you need to constantly be adjusting and everything. Yeah, mesocycles.
10 weeks is a good mesocycle. Sometimes they go 16. I feel that's always a bit long. 10 weeks, 12 weeks mesocycles I think are good. Like I'm picking on my template. I'm on week 6, I think. I have another 2 to 4 weeks, and then either I'll switch to a lot of carries. I'll know it. I always know it comes naturally, but I'll talk about it on the.
But that was that investment that you made, that you know your body now to a degree where you can program this way, so you never put yourself too much into a hole.
And I don't question too much what my body says anymore.
Yeah, that's also
like today, for example. I'm like, no, because I really want that heavy deadlift. So I'm like, if you can't, then no. By the way, this is also a very interesting debate, and not everybody necessarily will agree on that. But for me, for example, like, I really want that heavy deadlift because I have volume or deadlift. If it was my volume deadlift, I would do it.
Yeah.
Because I can push 2 sets of 10 or whatever. But really heavy, everything needs to be kind of lined up. So since it's my heavy deadlift, I'm definitely going to take a day off and then go blast tomorrow.
Yeah.
But, well, if I was just like, I'll do that weight, I'll be fine, I could do it today. But I really want a good a good weight. So there's also that. But so that's what we mean. Have a plan, change it every day.
Yeah.
Right, but within the structure. Anyway,
I'm gonna go wash a sandbag. By the way, our sandbags are washable.
Yeah, so
here's your sandbag marketing promotion team.
Coaches Week in Europe on May 27th, and we will bring some sandbags there.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.